Start your week with a triple shot of good vibes. This is the Project Joy podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. Thanks for joining me. And now it's time for a story of joy. Today I want to talk to you about some really fun observations I've made around what happens when we have a whole bunch of joy. We get people excited with joy. We get the excitement going. We get the happiness going, and that flow happens. I have a few friends that are also in the personal and spiritual development space, and they put out some really amazing programs and master classes and services. And I got a good laugh over this last week as I was participating in one, and they were saying, posting on social media, now get ready because, even before people go into this masterclass, they start experiencing crazy shifts, money coming in, and all of this stuff before they even take the class. And I've witnessed this to be true. There's a few friends that I have like this who put on these programs and services, and you see it happen. You see, the class hasn't even started and they're getting unexpected money, or they're getting new clients, or their business has expanded, or just something amazing has happened in their lives. And the reason I get a good laugh is because, it's easy for the facilitators of these things to say, listen, this is all me and it's magic, and people that are associated with me are like that. And in a sense, that's true, but it's different, and I'll explain why. So what's actually happening in these circumstances is that people are getting excited. They are aligning themselves more with better opportunity because of that excitement. They're aligning themselves with other people who are also excited, who are also joyful, who are also happy. And they're lining themselves up to experience these things that are happening more than they did before they were sort of brought into this vortex of happiness and joy and excitement. And the reason it is also these people is because they're creating the space for that to happen. The people that are participating in these master classes, these programs, these services may not have aligned themselves properly before having met that person or before signing up for the class. But my point in all of this is that joy is contagious. I'm sure that there are people who come and listen to this podcast and say, yeah, it's only 15 minutes, but why should I listen to 15 minutes of stories of joy when I could be listening to 15 minutes of how to improve my personal life, how to improve my business life, how to improve my spiritual life? Anything that's outright teaching me something like step by step, this is what I need to do with my life. Why would I do that? And it's because of this reason, because joy is absolutely infectious. Because when we take time to align ourselves with someone or something that is joyful and exciting and all of these amazing things, we can expect big things to happen in our lives, new things, fun things, amazing things, expansive things. And so we should make time every single day to be joyful, so that we don't just have to expect this stuff when we sign up for a class. We can expect it every single day. This has been a story of joy, and we'll be back in just a minute for the rest of the Project Joy podcast. Are you ready to build your own website? Grimm is a website coach who designed her easy peasy website to be the perfect solution for entrepreneurs looking to design and add content to their own website using WordPress and Elementor Pro. Join one of her easy peasy memberships today by visiting myepw.com. And now back to the podcast. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Project Joy podcast. So, we are celebrating this week. We're always celebrating something every single week. Every single day there's something to celebrate. But, we've got a holiday coming up this week that you may or may not be fond of. Brings up a lot of triggers for people, if you will. So today on the show, we're talking about joy in love because Valentine's Day is coming up. A lot of people think of it as a Hallmark holiday. Are you one of those people that thinks that Valentine's Day is just ridiculous? So I want to talk about a couple things as far as joy in love, and the first thing is that, a lot of people have grievances about Valentine's Day. We talked about, joy, it being a Hallmark holiday, if you will, something that the companies just want you to buy things and everything else. And it may be true. I'm not here to argue that point. I'm sure that there's lots of marketing genius behind some of the holidays that we have. But look, we can choose to find the joy in it anyway. And we can choose to celebrate anyway. And a lot of people have this sort of cynical outlook on, things like birthdays and Valentine's Day and many holidays, saying, well, we should be celebrating that every day. Like we shouldn't, or I hear that at Thanksgiving a lot. Have you guys ever heard that, of people saying, why are you saying that we should have, Thanksgiving on, only be thankful on Thanksgiving. And I think, we can choose to be like that and say, people are horrible for only being thankful or one day, or people are horrible for only, having love or showing love on Valentine's Day. But, I think it just can be a reminder for people. And for me, Valentine's Day is a reminder that I want to be loving and show more love every day. And because there's so much joy in that, right? There's joy in giving love. There's joy in receiving love. And we can be bitter about these holidays, you guys. We can be bitter and say, well, they're just to make us buy things, but we choose what we want to do. You're not forced to buy anything on that day. There are some people that hold more stock in it than others. I'm not telling you that your girlfriend or your boyfriend is not going to be upset if you forget to get them something on Valentine's Day. I mean, that's a relationship thing. That's between you and your partner to discuss what your expectations are about holidays and expressing your love and all of that. And I think that's really important. I want to touch on relationships a little bit here, because I've heard so many times from different people that expectations in relationships are a bad thing. And I don't necessarily think they're a bad thing. I think expectations of people it's a very human thing. And look, for all you spiritual people that are listening that are like, well, that's not 5D. That's not evolved behavior. Well, let me tell you, you are a spiritual being, honey, but you are also a very human being. We chose this human life for a reason. So to shy away from every single thing on the planet that is of human nature, I think is a mistake. And I think you're doing yourself a disservice in this human life. But anyway, I digress. It's really important that we express what our expectations are in relationships. I love that my husband is really particular about the way that his food is prepared. He can be a little OCD, and he's particular about the way certain things are in the house.
And so me loving him desperately and knowing that he expects things a certain way, I can then say, it would bring me joy to fulfill that expectation for you. And instead of getting worked up about it, instead of getting worked up about, well, he has these expectations for that day, I can say, isn't it amazing that I love him so much? And we have this relationship where I can say, I would love to fulfill that expectation for you. And I think that it's a privilege. It's an honor. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful way to show love, to say, you know, you have to make sure that that expectation is in alignment with who you are. I would never, ever suggest that someone do something out of love because the other person wants it if it's not in alignment with who you are. If it's somehow detrimental to you, I would never suggest that in a million years. But if someone has an expectation in your life, if a loved one, a partner, a friend, even a business associate, it's amazing that we can choose to show love in an expectation, by fulfilling an expectation that they have. And I love that, the book and the concept of the love languages, right? Because I almost wish that when we became friends with someone or got in a relationship that we could, I mean, we probably could people might think we were weird or whatever, but, you know, to give them that love language quiz or ask them, hey, before we get involved here, what is your love language, so that I can help, so I can make sure that we're on the same page with that? Because we know that, you know, in relationships, especially love relationships, you know, we probably have very different love languages than our partner. You know, we might be gifts, someone that likes to receive gifts, but our partner may be, words of affirmation. They like for you to tell them when things are going great, when they're doing well, and build them up verbally. And part of the beauty, I think, and the joy in relationships is, like I said, fulfilling those needs, those desires, those expectations, and saying, you know, even though I like to receive gifts, I'm going to go ahead and build up the other person. I'm going to go ahead and say, this is what I'm going to do because I know that that's how they feel loved. And isn't that a beautiful thing? Isn't that a beautiful thing that we can ask? What is your expectation in this relationship? What is it that makes you feel loved? And how can I fulfill that for you? I think that's where the magic really happens, and the joy is found in love, is when we can fulfill those needs for each other. I think it's a beautiful thing. And some people say, well, you know, you shouldn't bend for anybody. You shouldn't do for anybody. You shouldn't have to fulfill anyone's expectations. You're right. You don't have to. You don't have to. But for me, in my life, if I really love someone, I want to make them smile. I want to bring them joy. I want to do something that's going to make them happy. And ultimately, you know, everybody's happiness is their own, you know, it's their choice to be happy. It's their thing. But if you can contribute to that, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to contribute to the joy in someone else's life? So I invite you today, as we're coming up on Valentine's, whether you celebrate or not, whether you hate it or not, whether you're in a relationship or not, find some way to ask someone in your life, even if that person's yourself. This is bonus content right here. Even if that person's yourself, guys, okay, you've got to love yourself too. But find someone in your life that you love, find out something that they like, and fulfill that joy for them. Fulfill that expectation for them. If you know that someone loves a phone call, pick up the phone. You know, if you know they're not a text person and they love a phone call, don't text them this week, call them. If you know that someone loves to have face-to-face conversation, don't call them, go invite them somewhere or jump on, a Facebook video or Zoom or something where they can see your face. If someone loves gifts, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Make them a little something. What a privilege and what joy can be found in knowing what someone else loves and doing that for them, giving that to them, and bringing them a little joy. We'll be back in just a moment. Do you have an amazing moment of joy you've experienced in your life? Tell us about it by emailing us at projectjoypodcast@gmail.com. And now back to the podcast. Next week on the Project Joy podcast. Do you consider yourself a leader? Do you have leaders that you look up to? Well, there's joy to be found in leadership, and I'm here to talk to you about it. And that's what we'll be talking about on next week's episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please take a moment to rate, subscribe, comment, and share where available. And until next time, make joy a priority in your life today and every day. I'll see you next time. You've been listening to the Project Joy podcast with your host, Jessica Dugas. We'll see you again next Monday and every Monday for another episode to start your week off right.